Shalom, Hebrews and Shebrews. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back today. This video will come in after our reading of Romans chapter 12 and the explanation on that. Now you see me like this. I'll explain here. Okay, that's how I look today. When I had to walk into the courthouse, or whenever I had to go into the magistrate judge's office today and discuss a civil matter that regards to my business. And so we're going to speak on that, and we're going to piggyback off of what was told us in Romans chapter 12. So, I'm going to flip the camera around like we do here. Got a frog in my throat. I had to go to magistrate court today for a civil matter. And I knew this court date was coming up. I didn't think nothing about it. We live in a very conservative county here in New Mexico. Now, New Mexico as a whole is liberal. Or New Mexico, where the populace is at, is liberal. But where I'm at is very conservative. So I didn't really think much about anything coming up to it. And this morning, I thought, I really hope when I get there, they don't require a mask and push that issue on me. It's not gonna go good. I'm gonna refuse. I haven't wore a mask yet for principle. In fact, that I draw the line here. When I go to an establishment that says you have to wear a mask to enter this establishment, I politely decline their mask and I walk out and I go somewhere else, regardless of what I may have needed or wanted in that establishment or from that establishment. And that was going to be that was my stance today. So, in verse 9 of Romans 12, it says, "Let love be without hypocrisy." The judge that I had to go and visit with, I've known him since I was 18. The first time I had to go before him for a DUI charge that I got. And he's the judge that explained to me that, you know what, I know you, actually I was 24 on this one. I'm sorry, my apologies. I was 24 years old because my youngest daughter was fixing to be born. And my wife was like almost 9 months pregnant when I got the DUI. In my young stupidity. I went before him and he told me, he said, you know, I know you're a good kid, you're a hard worker and all this. I know you got a baby on the way, but this is the standard of law that I have to go by. And you have to go do this amount of time in jail. I can't take that away, regardless. And at first it angered me, but as I got to thinking about it over a period of time, it made so much sense to me, and that has stuck with me, especially with following Yeshua, that he has a standard that he's going to stand with. And so it's helped me with my walk with Yahweh, with Yeshua. That's a standard, whether I like it or not, regardless of the circumstances, and even regardless of who I am. And so this judge taught me that. And over the years, we have a common relationship, a cordial relationship, friends outside of business. He's been a judge this whole time. I'm 44, so 20 years, and he was a judge prior to that. So whatever the case may be, I go before him today over the civil matter. I'm sitting in the waiting room. Everyone in the building is not wearing masks because, like I said, we're conservative down here. We ain't playing with the mandates that are unconstitutional. The due process of law has not been followed with mandates and presidential orders and directives and all that BS. So I figured it was just going to be one of those issues of, will you wear the mask? No. Okay, come on. Well, it wasn't. When his secretary, who did not know me, come out and said, the judge will see you now, and she had two of these masks right here in her hands. Let me show you. Two of these masks in her hand, and went to hand it to me. I said, no, ma'am. Very politely. I said, no, ma'am. I don't wear a mask. I will not. She said, you have to. I said, I don't have to do anything, and I'm not going to. And so she stormed back there and said, she was pissed. Made her mad. Well, about probably 5 minutes later, the judge comes out of his office. He sees it's me. He kind of throws his hands up like, oh, man. And I'm just standing there. How you doing, Judge? What are we going to do about this? I said, there's going to have to be an alternative because I refuse. And he said, well, I didn't realize it was you out here, and I already have law enforcement on their way down here. And I said, oh, cool. Whatever the case may be. And I'd already told my wife, hey, there's a possibility they may arrest us today because this was them bringing us to court. And so with all this happening, I'm thinking, this is tough. I'm going to have to stand on my standard, and regardless of what it costs me, and I'm ready to. Well, as me and the judge are talking, and I explained to him that I'm not trying to be rebellious, cause a scene, throw a fit, or any of that. And he agrees with me 100% that he's following the law, or following the rules, the suggestions, as he explains it. I'm not going back there without a mask. Not happening. So there was a moment when silence hit, and he looked me directly in the eye, and I looked him directly in the eye, and that verse that chapter we read this morning in Romans chapter 12 began to just like peel me down to peer into my soul. And I went, this surreal feeling came over me like, oh no. And I looked at the judge and I said, I tell you what, Judge, because it's you, and because of the relationship we have, to honor you, I'll put a mask on and we'll come back and we'll resolve this issue. He looked at me and said, thank you, man. Just wait here. When the officer gets here, we'll tell him we're good to go. Cool. So when the officer got there, which was a new officer I had never met before, he don't know me, walks in all puffed up, ready to pounce. Things are fine. Issues resolved. I get a chance to visit with him a moment. We're all on the same page, just I'm the only one who has stood my ground and refused to do so. Except for this one instance, and I made an exception because to honor the man who taught me so much about the standard of law with one sentence that he said 20 years ago, that has stuck with me, and the relationship we have. And so it was almost like I felt like my dad said, would you please do this? In a funny sense of the matter. I know you don't want to, I know you don't like to, and I know you disagree with it, but for this instance, will you just appease me? So I looked at my wife and I said, we'll do it, but we're not wearing those masks. We'll get our own. And I had these handkerchiefs because I've been wearing this out here when I have to get out of the truck anyway, on my terms, because it's colder than a booger out here. 5 degrees and the wind blowing 20 miles an hour, you want something covering you. So I wear this handkerchief over my face, just like the beginning of this video, on my terms though, because it's protecting my face. And so I go get our handkerchiefs, give it to my wife, and we look like bandito bandits going in to see the judge. We have a great conversation. We resolved the issue that was at hand. No harm, no foul, all good to go. And we're out of there. Now, what if I had just said, you know what, I'm not doing it, I'm bullheaded. I'm not doing this. I don't care who you are, what authority you are, or any of the rest of it. I've said no and I'm not doing it. This is my standard and I'm not bending. What would have happened? Well, I would have been in contempt of court. I may or may not have been arrested at the moment, but as the officer informed me that if I had refused to not adhere to the mask mandate and refused to leave the building, that I would be trespassed from that building. I'm like, I'm not refusing to leave the building, I'll go. But I was called to come here. So y'all called me. I didn't ask to be here. Anyway, so we could have got into more lawful issues, which I was prepared to accept at the moment. I'm prepared to accept, should that be. I'm not going to go in a store and compromise just so I can get what I want in there. Well, I'll just compromise for this. I don't see this as a compromise of my values and the line that I've drawn on this issue that I believe is a intimidation on the citizens of America to further indoctrinate and propagandize through fear on the citizens who are asleep and are sheep. I refuse to adhere to that. I've done hours and hours of research looking at both sides of the story of the battle, and this is the side I've chosen. Right or wrong, this is the side I've chosen. Same thing with the Word of God. That's what I explained to the judges once we got back there. I said, you know, me compromising this is no different than me compromising the Word. But the reason I compromise is because of the respect and the honor I have for you. Not the state, not the judge, or not the governor or anything else. Because of you, Judge. And so I got to show love and mercy and honoring those who come before me, still walk in integrity and walk in my values. And walk out the living word of what that word we read this morning just went all over me today. Just it poured. It was like warm water poured all over me. That word it was what I needed for that moment. And I told my wife after it was all done, I said, you know, we were supposed to read Romans 12 2 or 3 days ago. And we've been missing it. Yesterday, my brother who passed away a year ago, a memory on Facebook popped up of one of his sermons on Romans 12 that he done 5 years ago. And I was like, whoa, I should have read Romans 12. Romans 12, in God's way, yes or no, however you want to see it, it was perfect timing that I read that this morning. Even though I know it, sometimes we have to be reminded. And that is why it is important to stay in God's Word. Because I was at one, for just a brief moment, I almost let the words come out of my mouth that told the judge, I'm prepared to go to jail, but I'm not wearing the mask. That almost come out before, for you, Judge, I will wear the mask. Because it's you. Because of who you are. And what you've done. That's why. Not for anything else. Now, see it however you want. Look at it however you want. That's the way I have to walk in it right now. Now, am I going to wear the mask to go into the store that I ain't went into in over a year now? No, absolutely not. If you require me to wear it, I ain't doing it. And we even discussed the point of what happens if it gets to the point where You can't even go in any establishment without the mask and the vaccine. Well, then I don't go in any establishment, okay? No problem. I'll grow my own food, I'll hunt for my meat, and we'll go for that. Whatever it takes. Yahweh will provide for me at that moment, that time. He'll provide for me my needs. If we don't compromise on the little things, we won't compromise on the big things. That makes sense? If we show love in a time of controversy rather than wrath, Yahweh will walk with you. There's a time for wrath. There's been many times I've said no and turned around and walked out and had people cuss me and everything else. Nobody's gotten my face so far, thankfully, but not sure how I'll handle that. I guess hopefully we won't have to handle that. But anyway, that's my thoughts on this. Reading the Word, you'll be surprised at how often the Word will intertwine with your day. Over and over again. And that's why I continue to push. Read it daily. Not just skip around, open the Bible and read a verse. Read like we read. One chapter at a time. And continue until you get done. Start over and do it again. Just read the Word. It's got to be the Word, y'all. You'll be amazed what it does for your life and your lifestyle. It's not going to take away the trials and tribulations. Your walk with God has nothing to do with trials and tribulations. You're going to have them regardless. How you walk in them is the key. Y'all be blessed, be encouraged. Always be frustrated. I am Oilfield Disciple, a.k.a. Pastor Matt. We'll catch you on the next ride.